part, d'où vient l'argent? Nous, c'est l'argent de nos actionnaires, c'est l'argent qu'on mobilise sur le marché financier régional et sur le marché financier international, argent que nous essayons de bonifier, bien entendu, pour faire face aux préoccupations que les investisseurs privés nous amènent. Les outils financiers les plus spécifiques, on en a beaucoup, on aura l'occasion d'en parler. Et je vais juste citer les financements classiques que nous pouvons avoir, bilatéraux ou multilatéraux. Et de plus en plus, on va dans les financements innovants. Financement innovant, c'est les grands arrangements de financement. Et je pourrais vous citer, par exemple, quelques cas. On a fait un projet de téléphonie mobile au Mali. Ça a coûté 100 millions de dollars. Et je vous ai déjà parlé des 5000 km de fibre optique. Donc, c'est pour dire que nos points d'application pour le public et pour le privé sont assez connus. Et dans notre perspective, c'est souvent moins une question de financement qu'une question de projets bien structurés qui nous arrivent, parce qu'on a vu qu'il y a des faiblesses dans les capacités techniques, et dans les capacités juridiques, dans les capacités administratives. Et donc, nous essayons de faire face à tous ces éléments-là. Voilà, merci, je vais m'en arrêter là. Voilà.
Merci, monsieur.
Merci.
And now, Yariv, your turn as the venture capitalist and the angel person on the panel. So, in terms of your perspective of financing into African tech, what do you think has been most effective or most important of all the different finance streams that have started to come into ICT?
So I'd like to follow up on your comment. I think that the key here is to have investable companies matching them with the right capital. That takes quite a bit of work. So the patient capital, so let's say call it, in the beginning it's a supportive capital. It's the angel, like the angel club we have here, or the mentors from Face the Gorilla, to take them to a level where they can absorb the capital. If you're too young or you're not sure what to do with the capital, then it's more a curse than a blessing. Then follow up with more traditional financing. I think a lot of the capital you mentioned goes to the projects rather than to the companies, whether they're data centers or others, rather to the innovative companies. And I think that's where more the lack, and a lot of it is the packaging and getting them ready, which is improving every year. And we see it every year in competition and the investment we make, how those entrepreneurs learn how to run their business better and to pitch it better.
Okay. So a couple individual questions. I wanted to ask Minister Gatete, in terms of government support or financing for ICT, do you think that there should be a priority or a different amount of financing that goes to connectivity? Because it's interesting that Africa is trying to do tech, or doing tech, but if you would say, what is the number one baseline item that you need to do tech anywhere, probably the first would be, it'd be a tie with electricity, but also would be connectivity. So anything on prioritizing connectivity, maybe above even investment in startups or other areas that financing could come from in African ICT?
Yeah, that's a very tough question because for us, I don't know how you would prioritize education rather than health, or health rather than agriculture. But for us, the way we handle it is different. First of all, there are many sectors. Let me start with financial inclusion. When we realized that the financing sector had a very big role to play in Rwanda, and that was done in 2008 with the Finiscope survey to see how financially we are included as Rwandans. And we realized that actually the formal and informal inclusion combined was only 48%. So that's when we started a program of saying, let's establish the microfinance almost in every sector. And we did that together with the technology to do that. And by the year 2012, we had actually reached 72% inclusion. And what else we did was we worked with a company called CMS Small Systems. It has been working in the Nordic countries. And we wanted to modernize the whole entire payment system in the financial sector. We actually, by then I was also a governor of the central bank. We forced the central bank, in terms of regulation, the banking system, that they should have the modern core banking system. The modern core banking system like the Delta, FlexCube, the others that are used in most of the developed countries. Once we did that, and we had a modern system ourselves as a central bank, then it changed everything, because this time, the movement of money was very quick, the information from the banking system coming to the central bank was very quick, and also the services improved significantly. And when we did that, and we could see the results that were coming, we also wanted to link our financial sector together with the region, with Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. And now the central banks have been interlinked within the East African payment system, and now we are linking the capital markets so that you can do cross-border trading. We could not have done that without the IT, because it reduced the entire cost of doing business. At the same time, we are wiring to make sure that we as government can work under one command as government, so that our bosses, the president, the prime minister, can be able to follow closely what we are doing. And also we can follow what is happening. So we had to prioritize also the government, how it functions in terms of efficiency. Thirdly, we also had to say, well, we are financing all the development programs. So for us, the public financial management system was very, very important. Right now, we have built it to the extent that it goes to the lower than the district level. Whether it is the money from the donors, whether it's money from our own budgets, whether it is money coming from elsewhere, as long as it is financing government programs, we can see it in the system, right from the procurement up to the end payment, and we can know what is happening. That was very, very important because it helps us in terms of accountability, it helps us in terms of reporting and accounting, and this is very, very important. That has also helped us. We also look at the sectoral areas, whether it is agriculture, whether it is agriculture especially for the seeds, for information on weather, for prices, in health, on how we serve our own population. Now, in terms of making sure that we are prioritizing that, we also, it has to go with electricity. In most cases, there are places where there are no electricity, and we work and plan accordingly to make sure that where we take ICT, there is electricity and all other necessities. So it's a process really to say you are financing this other than the other, it becomes very, very challenging. But at the same time, we've been supporting our innovators, our young people who are graduating, who need to be incubated so that they can develop the products that are helping our society in one way or the other. And that's why we set up this innovation, I would say, park at the Telecom House, where the young people can come and innovate. They are not paying any rent. They are being assisted. And these are the people now that we are setting a fund to make sure that they can now develop new products, and then they can be able to access cheap money to go and start their own and implement their own products. And that's the fund that we think that's going to help really significantly in terms of encouraging the people to go that area of innovation so that we can serve the country, but also the region and beyond.
Thank you, Minister. I'd like to jump back to Yariv. And I do a lot interacting with Africa's startup community. And in terms of Africa's startup community and what I hear about their needs or desires from government, it's a bit benevolent. I kind of would say that in general, a lot of Africa's startup community kind of prides itself on not needing government, but they run into these limitations of if you don't have roads, internet, or connectivity, how are you going to actually do African tech or do e-commerce or et cetera? So I usually hear, that's the general sentiment, but there's usually three categories that I hear from startups about their desire for government. The one is they want a lot of activity, they want a lot of support on every level. The second is just give us the basics, give us the connectivity and a decent macroeconomic environment, and we'll do fine from there. And the third is usually just stay out of our way. So Yariv, in terms of your perspective, mentoring, supporting, financing African startups, where do you think the majority of startups that you deal with fall in terms of that spectrum of what they expect from the public sector?
So instead of saying where, I say when. In different stages of the company, they face each on it. But I will add a fourth one. So in many economies, the government spending is a big part of the economy. Those companies are offering innovative solutions that can address those. Some governments, like the government of Israel, allows local startups easier access to innovate with the needs of the government, but also going into the procurement process. Sometimes those are new companies, you have to take a bit of a risk, can they deliver? So the public sector providing opportunities for those startups, those entrepreneurs, to deal with those complex systems or solutions, wherever they may be, is something that might be a bit complicated to start with, but reaps a lot of reward in the future.
Okay, please.
If I can add just on what he's saying, there's no one way of doing this, because the government has to do investment and also provide incentives. But also the private sector has to do the investment. And to attract the private sector investment, for example, what we have done here in Rwanda is that all the ICT-related equipments, all of them, none of them pays taxes of any kind. Not import tax, not VAT, not any tax. So that way then it is encouraging for the people to come and establish here in the country. In addition to that, the government also provides resources to make sure that we can be able to prioritize the IT sector, because we don't look at it as IT sector. We look at IT contributing to the whole entire GDP of other sectors. It has a big part in the financial sector, so in the service sector. It has a big contribution in the industry side and also in the agriculture. So what we see is that if we want to grow and grow fast, then we have no other choice. It's not whether we can leave ICT and focus on something else. We look at this one as very much complementary to everything else that we are doing. And that's why for us, we believe this is a necessity. Because you just imagine the way we work here. If I can, now we have put what you call Rwanda Online, and the people can be able to get all the information, pay for anything they want, all the services, without leaving home. It saves money. If the people can file their tax returns, they can pay taxes just on their mobile phone. It's a big saving. Now the people who are traveling in the buses, you can pick any bus here. You see it is electronic. Nobody talks to each other. They are all on the IT, they are working. Initially, you would sit from here, travel for 3 hours, and you are not doing anything. But now, because of the system that we have put in place, it saves and it improves how we work. It improves the efficiency, even we as government. You work when you're outside the country, or when you're in the country, anywhere you are working, whether you're at home. So really, the importance of ICT is no longer questionable in Rwanda. Here, that's why we are saying that financing it is not one sector, but it's many different areas. And that's why all the ministries, when we are doing our budget consultations, they have to capture it in their own budgets. It's not money separate from that, but we are saying that every institution, whether the central government level or at the local government level, they must include IT, because now it's the only tool that we use for everything, for all the work that we do.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oui, je crois que maintenant, le micro a l'air de marcher, mais je voulais rebondir sur des questions que vous avez. Oui, je crois que le micro a l'air de marcher et je voulais rapidement rebondir sur des questions que vous avez posées, sur la connectivité par exemple avec le budget spécial, par quoi il faut commencer. Et nous, dans notre vision ou dans notre stratégie, il y a 2 maîtres mots. C'est d'abord l'intégration, régionale notamment, l'intégration et l'interconnexion. L'interconnexion, que ce soit au niveau régional ou même au niveau des villages. Pour l'électricité, par exemple, connecter l'électricité solaire au village avec le conventionnel, et ça fait quand même un grand facteur d'accélération. Bon, le ministre a aussi parlé de l'inclusion financière. À mon avis, c'est extrêmement important parce qu'il y a un pan entier de nos économies qui relève du secteur informel, du secteur micro-entreprise et qui est complètement en dehors du champ. Et donc, la microfinance, par exemple, et nous nous réjouissons du modèle que le Kenya a inventé concernant le M-Pesa, qui est en train de conquérir toute l'Afrique et le monde maintenant. Mais au-delà de ça, même dans le secteur de la micro-assurance, pour faire, par exemple, l'assurance récolte, la technologie peut beaucoup aider à simplifier tous ces mécanismes lourds d'assurance qu'on a. Et nous sommes aussi en train de penser aux mécanismes de garantie qui sont trop compliqués, même pour les petites et moyennes entreprises, a fortiori pour les toutes petites entreprises. Comment rendre l'assurance simple? Comment faire en sorte que les taux d'intérêt soient bas? Et un autre aspect a été souligné, c'est le mécanisme de contrôle et de supervision des banques qui ne sont pas adaptés à tout ce que nous voulons faire maintenant. Alors, si je devais répondre à votre question de ce qu'il faut faire, moi je crois que les incubateurs ou les renforcements de capacité, ça me paraît un élément fondamental. Parce que la plupart du temps, les gens ont des idées, mais ils n'ont pas de projet structuré. Si bien que même si vous voulez, vous ne pouvez pas avancer. Et s'agissant des startups africains maintenant, je pense bien naturellement que le renforcement des capacités, les infrastructures, c'est important, mais je soulignerai seulement que les États doivent vraiment créer l'environnement qui permet de rendre cela facile, de rendre cela fluide, parce que pour le moment, ce n'est pas le cas. Voilà, merci.
Merci, Monsieur Touré. So I'm going to ask one more question, and we'll open it up to the audience and get some engagement. I think that it should be mandatory that any conversation on African business, especially technology, bring up jobs. And what I wanted to ask, and I'll direct it at Minister Gatete first and then allow any of the other panelists to chime in, is just play a little devil's advocate and ask if there's a possibility that there's too much emphasis being placed on ICT when it comes to the needs of African countries with the youth populations, with the greater labor market growth. Is there too much emphasis possibly being put on ICT to actually be able to employ all the young people who need jobs versus other sectors, such as manufacturing, that have done a better job at employing larger numbers of people versus technology?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, for us in Rwanda, because of the importance of job creation, especially for the young people, we have a 5-year plan that implements the vision. Among the 4 sectors, we also have the youth employment. The first one is economic transformation. Second one is rural development. The third one is productivity and youth employment. And the fourth one is accountable governance, meaning that because of its importance, the government has put a priority on employment. And after putting it in our strategy, what really we did was to make sure that we also create a national employment program. And that national employment program is targeting to actually develop 200,000 jobs every year outside the agriculture sector. And all the jobs almost that we are talking about require ICT. There is ICT as a sector, but also if you go to the health, for example, the health sector, where we have a whole health workers almost on every village. There are thousands of them. All of them are coordinated using the ICT. In terms of, and also of course linked with the health sectors, including the hospitals, the health centers, and all that, you cannot do anything without being connected to the ICT. The payment system, and also how the insurance works within the health sector. The same thing with, for example, in terms of the jobs, in education. Nowadays, you cannot do much in education without really using the IT. And wherever we take it, it creates jobs. And at the same time, we have the people, the young people, the innovators that you're talking about, where we incubate to make sure that these people are developing products, but also implementing those products takes ICT. And the same thing with the financial sector, almost in every sector, it is IT. So we don't look at the jobs only, there are jobs which are directly in the IT sector, that of course every year when they are doing the household survey, we get the numbers and we see who are employed where, but also we are seeing others who are not necessarily in the IT, but are support in those IT sectors. For example, if you are, we have the business development services where we support the people in the rural areas, and they have different centers of them. Those centers are for IT, for them to use in terms of linking with the jobs elsewhere. As for the government, we put a system that links the public, the private, but also the job seekers, which is really helping its IT where anybody can go and be able to search and be able to apply for a job. It's a system that we are putting in place that is helping everybody. So beyond just creating a job, it also assists everybody. It has to be IT literate. It's not just there are people who know IT and they are there, but for us it has become a way of life, whereby you cannot say, my job is IT, but everybody is using IT, and there are other people who are developing the products who have the expertise in terms of doing that, who are setting up the companies, who are developing new products. That's how I could describe IT. And the way I see it, in the future, we started when I was telling you the story of the banking system, where we started having a financial inclusion of 48%, then 72%, and later on, by last year, we had reached 89%. At that point, we are using the cards and we were so excited. I have a Visa card, I have a MasterCard, but actually, and ATMs, and you could go there and be able to withdraw money. But it was really reducing the lineups from the banking system to the ATM. There was nothing that was changing. But this time, what we are seeing that is catching up, that is going way beyond anything else, is how a mobile phone is very, very important. With the internet, moving money anywhere, anyhow, we are seeing this one actually moving faster than anything. To the extent that where we are putting more emphasis is interoperability of the mobile system in the country, but also the cross-border, so that we can cooperate with our neighbors. And that's why we are seeing that the service, the IT, is no longer the person who went to study ICT, but everybody has also to become IT literate to make sure that we can run our economy and grow the economy in different ways.
So I think the overarching theme with Rwanda is that you see everything is integrated and comprehensive in terms of a wired economy. I think, Yar, if you don't mind, I'd like to jump to audience questions, and if you had anything on jobs, perhaps you can integrate that into the response. So we'll open up the session to audience questions. One thing that I'll ask is questions, not statements, please. And just please state your name and the question, and if you would like it to go to somebody directly, please let us know. Gentleman right there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for the interesting discussion. My name is Magnus Magnusson from the Eco Capacity Exchange in London. And I would like to ask a question to the speakers regarding the terms of financing that you are facing in your economies in the region, with interest rates around 20% and often short terms of financing and problems of accessing hard currency when needed. For example, for investments in 4G networks, you would have to borrow in dollars. And how do you deal with that? What are the options you have? Our company offers a new solution where a currency is backed by multinational companies and offered at zero interest rate. So it's a new source of hard currency at zero interest rate that we are offering. And we'd like to discuss that with you maybe afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we got a question and a bit of a pitch, but that's good. This is tech. Does somebody want to take that? You know what? Let's do three. Let's do three, and we'll go in line. The gentleman right there. Or the lady. Oh.
Merci beaucoup.
Rien.
Mon nom est Rafiatou Mourou, je suis ministre de l'économie numérique du Bénin. Je voudrais très sincèrement remercier les panélistes pour l'importance du terme et poser la question suivante. Nous avons constaté que pour une Afrique intelligente, smart, il nous faut nécessairement les infrastructures. Les infrastructures pour pouvoir implémenter les e-services pour que les Africains, où qu'ils se trouvent, puissent utiliser facilement les technologies de l'information et de la communication. Aujourd'hui, l'Afrique, en termes d'infrastructures, je vais dire, est presque vierge. Dans tous les pays, nous constatons, n'est-ce pas, que nous avons besoin de beaucoup d'investissements pour adresser cette question d'infrastructure. Et nous voyons également que l'État seul ne peut pas faire face à ces investissements. Ma question est la suivante. D'après vous, d'après votre expérience, quel est le meilleur business model aujourd'hui pour financer les infrastructures en Afrique? Merci, je vous remercie.
Pardon, encore la question encore une fois, s'il vous plaît.
Merci.
Quelle est la meilleure
Business model pour financer rapidement les infrastructures
D'accord.
en Afrique?
Merci.
Merci.
And one more question, the gentleman.
Ok, merci beaucoup. Je suis honorable ministre maire de Dassa Zoumé. Je représente l'Association nationale des communes du Bénin. Je suis ancien fonctionnaire de la Banque ouest africaine de développement. Je voudrais sincèrement vous remercier et attirer l'attention sur le fait que si l'Afrique de l'Est se développe en matière de TIC et que le reste de l'Afrique est en retard, cela aura un impact négatif sur les résultats attendus. Et suggérer que les acquis en termes d'expérience qui sont impulsés par le Rwanda puissent être partagés avec les autres régions de l'Afrique, notamment l'Afrique centrale et l'Afrique de l'Ouest. En ce qui concerne l'Afrique de l'Ouest, je voudrais dire à mon aîné, l'un des responsables de la banque, qu'il y a du boulot, il y a de matière à financer. Mais le problème fondamental, il a effleuré, c'est les questions de ratio prudentiel. Je voudrais suggérer que la Banque ouest-africaine de développement puisse prendre l'initiative de faire revoir la stratification des ratios prudentiels déjà au niveau des banques commerciales et voir comment, à l'image du Rwanda, on peut aller vers une inclusion financière dans les villages. Parce que le problème qui se pose est un problème profond. Il lui fallu que moi, je fasse tous ces niveaux, je me retrouve maire à la base, il y a de la matière au financement. Vous parliez des emplois, je voudrais attirer l'attention sur le fait qu'effectivement, quand vous voyez que toute l'administration centrale n'est pas informatisée, ce n'est pas numérisé, les archives ne sont pas numérisées, l'administration territoriale, pareil avec même l'état civil, vous comprenez que lorsqu'on va rentrer dans une phase de systématisation d'un système d'information qui rime avec l'implémentation des TIC, c'est beaucoup d'emplois. Okay. Et ces emplois au plan local, ça s'applique aux autres secteurs. Merci beaucoup de prendre en compte mes préoccupations. La question fondamentale est, je fais simplement des suggestions, mais je me préoccupe à la fois de comment est-ce que vous êtes parvenu à faire pénétrer les TIC dans les villages malgré le degré d'analphabétisme.
Thank you. So maybe we'll go in reverse and start with the third question and ask Mr. Touré to respond to that, please.
Merci beaucoup. C'est des questions extrêmement importantes. Et les taux d'intérêt et les coûts de nos financements, c'est une question récurrente qui revient sans arrêt. Parce que nous-mêmes, si on va sur le marché international pour mobiliser de l'argent, et pour pouvoir le rentabiliser, il faut qu'on mette au moins une petite marge. Alors, il y a les financements concessionnels qu'on fait, mais bien entendu, c'est limité. Et les gros financements que nous voulons avoir avec le secteur privé, c'est des taux d'intérêt élevés. Mais qu'est-ce que nous faisons? Nous essayons de bonifier, au niveau de l'UEMOA, par exemple, avec la Banque centrale et la commission de l'UEMOA, on a une enveloppe relativement importante pour baisser le taux d'intérêt et pour que ce ne soit pas vraiment les plus de 8% que nous appliquons. Mais au-delà même de ça, il y a toute une réflexion sur les garanties, parce que ça aussi c'est souvent quelque chose de tellement complexe qu'on ne s'y retrouve pas. Et donc on essaye de les alléger le plus possible. Au-delà de ça, je dirais encore qu'avec nos partenaires internationaux, je prends même MIGA ou je prends la Banque mondiale, qui a accepté qu'une partie de ses intérêts soit affecté maintenant à la bonification de certains types de financements. Et j'ajouterais que nous avons d'autres créneaux, et ça c'est les financements innovants, et la finance climat par exemple, avec le Fonds pour l'environnement. Le Fonds pour l'environnement nous a permis de financer au Niger la téléirrigation. Ce matin, le président en a parlé, ce qui contribue quand même à l'autosuffisance alimentaire et dans une certaine mesure à la création d'emplois. Il y a le fonds d'adaptation que nous avons aussi dans les domaines de l'environnement qui nous permettent de mobiliser des financements qui permettent justement dans les villages de pouvoir, disons, utiliser ces fonds-là afin de baisser vraiment les taux d'intérêt. Mais c'est une question importante, surtout quand je lis ça à des petites entreprises, dans les villages par exemple, et le modèle de développement que nous avons, on a du mal à avoir une prise par rapport aux agriculteurs qui sont là, et les petites entreprises, même les moyennes entreprises, alors que c'est extrêmement important. En matière d'infrastructure en Afrique, pour répondre à votre question, nous nous appliquons beaucoup à financer les infrastructures. Pas seulement les petites, hein, même les grandes. Au Mali, par exemple, on a financé à Tel, la 3e licence, plus de 100 millions de dollars. En Côte d'Ivoire, et ensuite n'est pas là, mais on a financé ensuite en Côte d'Ivoire à plus de 58 millions de dollars. Et ça veut dire quoi? Que les grands projets, on peut les financer. Et la plupart du temps, nous les finançons sur le modèle du PPP, partenariat public-privé. Partenariat public-privé, nous attendons de l'État qu'il fixe un cadre relativement adapté, ce qui n'est pas toujours le cas, parce que c'est un parcours de combattants. Et nous essayons de faire le renforcement des capacités techniques, organisationnelles, juridiques, parce que toutes ces affaires-là, un grand projet qui vient, il n'y a pas de répondant. Et la plupart du temps, ça devient extrêmement complexe. Donc, avec les modèles de PPP, les renforcements de capacité, nous y allons. Et nous attendons du secteur privé qu'il amène son savoir-faire, qu'il amène son financement, et ce qui nous permet d'aller de l'avant. Donc, les modèles de PPP, notamment, nous permettent quand même de financer de grands projets d'infrastructure. Alors, à la question de savoir les ratios prudentiels, je peux dire que la Banque centrale travaille beaucoup à les baisser, à contraindre notamment nos banques qui ont des liquidités à pouvoir les utiliser vraiment dans les projets, non pas à les placer sur le marché monétaire. Et c'est une préoccupation aussi. Et la Banque centrale a même créé de nouvelles entités qui vont s'occuper des petites et des moyennes entreprises. Voilà, c'est pour dire que les TIC, on peut les utiliser dans les villages. J'ai cité le cas du Niger. Hein. On en a fait aussi au Togo. On en a fait dans beaucoup d'endroits. Mais il y a une prise, une facilitation qui peut se faire à ce niveau-là.
Okay.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
So maybe we'll jump around a little bit. Mr. Magnuson, can you just remind me, your question was about digital financing. Just go ahead, I'll repeat it. Okay. Okay. Gary, do you want to jump in on that in terms of any startup models that may impact that?
I'd like to jump first of all to the question of the lady on how do you do financing of infrastructure creatively. So one of the companies we've invested and incubated here does solar access, so provide solar systems to rural areas where the customer pays. This is done on a PPP, where the government is providing a partial guarantee. Now, if you look at the effectiveness of that, the government coverage comes out to less than $2 per system, and the client pays about $160. So this is a model where you provide critical infrastructure, access to energy, through a creative PPP, innovative model for solar, and getting 80 times leverage on the government spending actually, because the design. So there are more and more creative ways as ICT enables measurement and the sophistication of finance of receiving much higher leverage on the buck spent. In regards to the cost of capital, it comes out on many aspects. The risk, the startups. So for a startup, the currency is less important. There are much bigger risks of where it would be. On project finance, if it's long-term, then for sure risk becomes fairly substantial. On ICT, if it's on the companies rather than the project, then it's not an issue. On projects, of course, same as others.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me start from maybe not the first question, but the second question, then I'll come back to your question. The infrastructure, and I think, Madam, you are very, very right. What is the most important is the infrastructure. You know, I was telling you how we developed our ICT strategy, actually initiated by our head of state, because he said there's no way you can have service sector as the lead without investing in ICT. So in 2000, the first 5 years, we actually spent it doing sensitization, because there are people who are saying, no, ICT has nothing to do with me because I'm in agriculture. Another one says, I'm in this sector, it has nothing to do with me. But then we took 5 years sensitization. And then we realized that actually, if you're allowed, if you're looking for private sector to invest, it's going to become very difficult because there are many, they want to get a high return for their money, and it's not going to be affordable. So government decided to invest in the infrastructure itself. And then we contracted the Korea Telecom, because it had experience in that, to work with us. For 5 years, we're installing the fiber optic infrastructure across the country. Now, having done that, meaning that actually you are taking it almost to the last mile, just leaving the job for the telecoms. It's like having the wholesale, and then you have the telecoms become the retailers to come and do the last end, so that it is cheaper for ordinary people because the government has already invested heavily. Government is not interested in making money. It gains by the growth of the economy and benefiting all the sectors. And that's why the initial investment of infrastructure, which you rightly mentioned, is really government has to put in money. How you borrow it, how you get it, but I think it is very important, because if you put in money of the private sector, yes, they will do it, and they have the money, but they want a return. But the government wants less return because their return is when the economy works. And that's why it's really very, very important to be done. But for the retail part, it has to be done by the private sector. That's when the telecoms really come in and be able to finance the whole economy. On the issue of interest rate being very high, I really wanted to spend some time here, if you can allow. Take example of Rwanda, and maybe other typical African countries. Our banking systems are not rated. They are depending mainly on deposits. The money you get at the beginning of the month, by the end of the month, there's only very little left. We don't have well-developed capital markets that brings in the money from the international savers. And if you don't have that, it means the cost, the time of the cost goes up, the risk goes up, but also the payment period becomes very, very short. And at the same time, you cannot go and raise money on the international capital markets because you are not rated. You don't have any rating that you can take to London or New York and be able to get money. And at the same time, when you borrow from the regional financial institutions, then you face the risk of how do you pay back in foreign exchange when your business is in local currencies. This is actually an issue which we are trying to address, because initially we had to do work on the savings side. In Rwanda, we have created many funds here now that are now participating on the market, on the capital market, after developing it. But at the same time, we are working with the developed world. We have started what we call Compact with Africa, initiated by the G20, working also with international financial institutions. How do we de-risk some of the projects so that the financing becomes cheaper? How does the World Bank, the ADB, the other funds, the rich world, if you see from our own countries, if you see the DFIs, the development financial institutions of the rich countries, they don't participate on our market. They don't give money cheaply to our own market, to our own financial institutions. This is what we are trying to unblock within the Compact with Africa. And that's why they are starting with 5 countries in Africa: Rwanda, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Morocco, and Tunisia, and others will be coming in. But we are trying to address the issue because our traditional relationship had been country to the government, not the private sector. And that's why we are trying to see how to risk this. The issue of the Forex, for example, we have already tested with the World Bank that money could come and go to the central bank and you do what they call a swap and make sure that you can lend in Rwandan francs and ordinary people can be able to pay back in Rwandan francs. But for the ICT itself, this is a specialized area, and that's why we are creating the innovation fund, of which we want to grow to 1 billion by the way, because they cannot go on the market and borrow at 17% or 16% or 18%. You cannot do that, and that's why we are taking this as a special area to make sure I create a fund that can give them at a very reasonable rate so that they can, after innovation, it has many components. There is a part to help them so that you are incubated to a level where you can go on the market. But also when you go to the market, you need cheap money that is that helps them for them to first at least test their products on the market. So that one is separate. This is like a special fund that is not going to lend in the market for 17, 18, or 20%, as you are saying, because it's a priority area, and we want this one here to be able to help us. This is really in line with our whole long-term strategy, which I told you, of having institutional arrangement where we do the research. I told you the Carnegie Mellon, when they are teaching, they're also doing the research. The African Institute of Mathematical Science, the same thing. The Quantum Leap program, which they are starting by the AIMS, is also very, very crucial. And even the next Einstein Forum is going to help. All these other 4 centers of excellence, which you have not discussed, are also contributing to the research and sustainability part. We know that the investment you are putting in at some point is going to help Africa come up and be able to lead in terms of the innovation, in terms of the technology. And by doing that, then the speed at which you can catch up with the rest of the world will become faster because you have seen its direct impact on the economy.
Thank you, Minister Gatete. I think we can do 2 more questions quickly. I know Yariv has to go to Face the Gorillas after. And let's go further back in the room, the gentleman right there. Oh, okay, we'll start here.
Thank you very much. My name is Robert Ford. I'm the CEO for Felmax Web Technologies. It's an IT company in Rwanda, and the vice chair of the ICT chamber. My question, although the minister almost touched it and answered it, I want to direct it to Mr. Yariv because of his experience in financial engineering models for ICT. We belong to an industry that has a very high rate of obsolescence. The product you make today is probably not going to be alive 4 years to come because of the speed at which innovation takes place in our industry. It's different from agriculture and manufacturing. What kind of financial engineering models do you think is appropriate for African innovation, given that we tend to want to make homemade solutions, and those homemade solutions have a very high risk of not surviving the times because of the speed at which the technology moves? What would you propose as the most appropriate financial engineering models for specifically innovation, given its high risk potential? Thank you.
Yariv?
So I think this is partly a finance question, but more a business model. It's where do you want to play in the chain, and how long do you have for it? Do you need to do rapid development? Do you need to do modular design? And where you want to play? And I think that level of sophistication is what you need when you start a company on looking forward. And the capital sources depend on where you are. If it's before it's an ID stage, then that's usually small agents or the family that can enable you to do that and prove the concept. Afterwards comes a bigger angel. Afterwards comes the fund. And you need patient capital that understands that. Many companies pivot, so they start with one model and then they need to change to another model. Some investors say, I'm doing this, and if you change it, I don't want to be a part of it. Those are not the investors we would like to see. People that understand that the risks are where they are, that there will be a need to change, and that you can adapt together with the changes in the technology.
Thank you. And the gentleman right there.
Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Muntaga Keita. I'm from the Republic of Guinea, Conakry. I'm a founder and CEO of Tulip Industries. We are starting to manufacture now in Guinea interactive kiosk, green interactive kiosk, which you can plug like on the solar panel, on the regular electric grid, and can last for days. Now we are just wondering, are African governments ready to invest into homegrown technologies, into our own indigenous technologies? Because this kiosk is beautifully built, but now we are going to inaugurate the manufacture in July in Guinea, The beta test has been done in front of government. We receive a round of applause around it. But we're just wondering, are African government ready to invest into our technology rather than importing?
Just one question. What's the name of your startup?
Tulip Industries, and at this level, we have invested over $1.5 million to build the manufacturer, and it's ready, and we're going to inaugurate with 32 employees.
So just as a quick case study, where did you get your initial financing?
Initial financing or family financing and my own financing.
Okay.
There we go.
What is the product?
Sorry. Now Thank you. The question is just like, I'm just wondering if the African governments are ready to invest into homegrown technologies. There are many things that we can build in Africa. There are geeks on this continent. We've been educated in Western country. Myself, I've been educated in Harvard. I have friends educated in MIT, in Oxford. Now we're back in Africa. We can bring that knowledge, and we are ready to build. And myself in Guinea, we have dared to set up this manufacturer, and we are going to produce them. We have already produced few, and we are just wondering if African governments are ready to absorb, to invest into our own indigenous technologies.
Thank you. So,
Thank you.
Can we start with the West African Development Bank? You and I talked about how some of the multilateral or development banks were moving into startups.
Pour être vraiment avec mon frère de Guinée, hein, même ce matin, le président du Mali a par exemple dit qu'il va encourager 60 startups. Et dans tous les pays que nous couvrons, la Côte d'Ivoire, chaque année, ils font des concours de startups. Je sais qu'au Bénin, au Togo, partout, ça existe. Peut-être qu'il y a des problèmes de coordination. Et vous-même, je sais, vous êtes bien formé, sans doute que vous allez amener un projet qui est bien construit. Mais le problème, c'est que la plupart du temps, les gens, ils ont des idées, mais ils n'ont pas de projet. Et que, bon, une banque ne peut pas tout simplement financer dans ce cas-là. Moi, je crois que, d'une façon générale, je vois presque un engouement au niveau de tous les gouvernements maintenant pour financer les startups. Ça, c'est ce que je peux ajouter. Merci.
Minister Gatete? Or
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, to the contrary, I think, first of all, we appreciate your innovation, and we are proud of you for that. In Rwanda, actually, how to say everything is more homegrown solution. Our public financial system was not developed from outside. It was from inside. The system that we use for the health insurance is not developed from outside. The one used for health, for many other sectors, are just homegrown solutions. And these are the people I told you, the young innovators, who we help, and then they come up with product and compete. Last month, in March, when the president of the World Bank was here, we took him to what you call K-Lab and Fab Lab, where these young people are. And I remember him getting surprised because the young people, one of them, they actually competed with a well-renowned South Korean company, and they beat them in terms of competition, showing that actually for now, they are no longer just competing on the local market. They can compete on the regional market. They are taking the products everywhere. This product they use on the buses here, the guy is now in Cameroon, is now in about 4 or 5 countries with the same product and being received with open arms by those governments. We encourage those people. That's why we are establishing funds to see how do we support these people in a very unique way. And as you are right, because we used to think that what you buy from off the shelf would be very useful. But you study with someone in Harvard or MIT, you come back home, you become a local, he becomes a foreigner, he's more trusted. That ideology, that kind of perception is gone in Rwanda. It's no longer works here in Rwanda. We think that is. We think that you can do it. We think that you can do it like anyone else. So that's why we are saying that we need to encourage our own. We need to encourage our diaspora to come with their own brains and be able to start actually developing our own continent. That's what we think that in Rwanda that works. By providing the environment that is conducive, we are getting more of the Rwandans coming from all over. is. We are getting Rwandans coming from all over the place, coming to start and innovate in their own way. Whether you're an engineer, whether you're a doctor, whether you're in IT, or any kind of product you want to bring on the market, we know that you have all the support of the government.
I want to add something here that's very important, and that's the word support. So you were asking about investment. The government is not about investment. They can choose areas to invest, but the invest is you and me and the other investors. The government, like here, is providing all the different support, whether it's an early stage, whether it's the ability to compete on a tender, and even though maybe you don't have the track record, but your solution is better. So government's job is to make sure that you are supported, that there is the conducive environment and so on, and then investment comes. And if the companies are there and the entrepreneurs knows what he's doing, and the government is open to buy it, the investors come. That's exactly what we're looking for.
Je crois que votre question a touché un peu tout le monde. Ça veut dire que c'est la vérité. Mais ça m'a rappelé, je crois que c'est la dernière assemblée annuelle de la Banque africaine de développement. Je ne sais pas si c'était en Zambie ou même à Kigali ici, où quelqu'un qui bricolait les radios, les vieilles radios et tout ça là, a pu avoir le prix de la Banque africaine de développement. Et il est sponsorisé maintenant par la Banque africaine de développement. Je ne sais pas si vous êtes au courant, mais en tout cas, je vous invite vraiment, pas seulement les gouvernements, hein, à saisir toutes les opportunités qui peuvent exister. Voilà, merci.
Quick follow-up.
Yeah, I think this is the point you are talking about. It's a guy from Sierra Leone, who was from the northern Sierra Leone, who was using electricity, and he got an award in Lusaka last year in the annual meetings. So it is a young person who innovated, who developed, and he got a very powerful award together with the financial support. And ADB has been supporting in many ways, including in Rwanda, where we are implementing the IT system. We just need as government to put a framework, an environment where this can happen. And I think that's the most important, to encourage the young people.
So I think just to wrap up, the forward-leaning governments on ICT like Rwanda, like Kenya, seem to have created a bit of a competition across African governments to do more to support technology and ICT on the continent. So there's still definitely a long way to go, but I think 5 or 10 years ago, maybe even that situation wasn't there, so that's great. So in any case, we'll conclude this panel. Monsieur Touré, Yariv, Minister Gatete, thank you so much for speaking today. And I guess we also have Face the Gorillas coming up soon, so thank you.